Speaking of shows, I think our next guest may be a fan of Game of Thrones. It's
Is that
Sarah
right?
Eggleston. She's the VP of Supply Chain Solution Sales over at Redwood Logistics. And supply chain can be a little bit like Game of Thrones or spin-off, Ring of Power.
You think so?
Probably going to trigger her. I don't think
Rings
it's
of
Ring of Power,
Power.
is it? It's House of the
It's
Dragon,
Rings
isn't
of
it?
Power
Hey,
or House
Sarah,
of
thanks for joining
yeah.
us on the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I'm not sure I'm going to follow up the Bob's Burgers dancing, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to, but I did learn that you know our own Mary O'Connell. You two used to work together. Is that true?
Yeah, I do. I love Mary. She's super fun. I was sad to see her go whenever she left, but she's killing it at FreightWaves. So excited for her.
She is, and she's always talking about how this market is all messed up, right? It's in this big state of flux, and 3PLs are confused, buyers are confused, inventory managers are confused. We're all confused, right?
I'm confused.
Is now a good time to reevaluate your strategy? So much has changed, and rates have gone down incredibly on some lanes too. So is
Sure.
now a good time to start looking?
Yeah, I think so. When we talk about the truckload market, it's the quickest one to adjust. And we've seen spot market rates falling. And I think right now we're all kind of wondering, where's the bottom? When are we going to find the bottom? We still have to think about at what point is contractual rates going to catch up with that. It's not there yet. That lags a little bit. I think what's going to be the most interesting for me from my point of view is the LTL market and what the LTL carriers are going to do. Traditionally they are a little slower to follow the changes in the market, slower to react, but they almost always do follow truckload. You think about some of the Q2 earnings calls that came out and what you heard from the big LTL carriers, really strong gross revenue numbers, improvement in yield, margins up, all of that. But tonnage and volume was really pretty flat, maybe up just a little bit. But what you heard overwhelmingly from all the executives there was discipline, pricing discipline. Don't make a knee-jerk reaction to the market. Really try and focus on the volume that they have and operating it better. And then you heard the August numbers come out and you saw some of those numbers, those carriers maybe not hit the projections or where they thought they were going to be. So I think really the next 3 to 6 months in the LTL industry is going to be probably a leading indicator of what's going to happen overall from pricing. And our carriers going to start to really become more aggressive, looking to pick up additional volume. And is their tone going to switch a little bit from that kind of pricing discipline strategy?
Yeah, the LTL market usually gets the ripple effects after truckload starts to drop, right? Because they start getting in there and it starts flowing through there. That's very interesting to see that timeline in there. So if I'm a shipper, how should I be looking at this differently? How should I be thinking differently going into this market?
Sure. So, when we talk about like managed transportation or outsourcing a portion of your transportation, it's really always historically been a heavy savings conversation. And sure, that's still there. People are still looking to save money. But I think that years and days of double digit savings are, just a thing of the past. So really thinking about it more as a strategic partner. And can you leverage a 3PL with big data and big technology to help you be a little bit more creative other than just contract negotiations and savings right off the top? So looking at things like pool consolidation, network redesign, all of that to say, is there an opportunity to save from that? But at the same time, it's not a race to the bottom. That's not a good result for anybody. The carriers don't want the freight. They don't want to be a long-term partner with shippers that are after that. So it's about, in our perspective at Redwood, is leveraging a 3PL that can help you understand the right carrier in the right lane for that right shipment that fits well within their network. It operates well from them. It allows them to be profitable. That's really the long-term solution to not just cut rates, but figure out where does that carrier want to work within a shipper's network and how can we make this a long-term partnership and take some of the volatility out of your carrier partners and your carrier network. There's so much volatility still in the global supply chain that everyone has to deal with. Try and find some stability on the things that are within your control, working with the carriers to say, it's not about a 10% price reduction. It's about where does my freight fit best within your network.
Interesting. So when we think about this and we reevaluate what's going on here, what, like in the real world, in terms of what you're talking about here, do you have an example of these advantages that the 3PLs have offered in enhancing a client's supply chain?
Yeah, absolutely. We have several customers that have kind of been looking at that network design piece of it to say warehouse space in general has been tough. And if you don't own the warehouse, if you're going out to a 3PL, what does that network look like? And is it still meeting your needs? So we've done some network design studies for people recently to say, get closer to your customer if you're able to. You think about like the Amazon effect that's, everybody's talked about for years now, and the expectation of the consumer to get things quicker. That exists in B2B world too. It's not just in retail, it's not just in the consumer side. So redesigning that network so you're improving your customer experience, getting closer to your customer from a distribution standpoint, which also then is going to reduce costs. And you can get back to those double-digit numbers. We've had customers see 15, close to 20% savings just by doing a redesign of their network and not necessarily even having to change carriers.
That's really interesting. Now, we've just come through this tech revolution, right? And well, actually, it's still going on. And you've got shippers and carriers and everybody bringing on new technology, integrations and visibility, all this type of thing. Going in with a 3PL who has their own tech, does this just add to the complexity, or does it not? And what should I look for to avoid that?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. I think people tend to shy away from integrations, and it's kind of been like a scary word in the past. I think at Redwood, we're approaching it a little bit differently. You think about really where we're going, what we call LPaaS, or Logistics Platform as a Service. It's about creating that open ecosystem of 3PL technology, logistics technology to create the best overall solution for our customers. So we're doing that through Redwood Connect. That's that proprietary middleware. Think of it really like an app store for 3PLs or for logistics technology. There's been a ton of investment in freight tech in the recent years, a lot of startups, and a lot of them provide a really niche solution. And maybe it's a good solution for you and you could use it at your company, but you get to your IT department and it's like death by 1,000 integrations, and it's impossible to get it all together, and people just stay status quo on the technology they've already adopted. So what Redwood Connect does is it allows you to just make that one connection into Redwood Connect, and all of those integrations with all of those other great technology logistics providers are already built out. And it really turns it into more of like a drag and drop type of environment and takes all of the scariness and uncertainty out of integrations. Connect once, connect to everything.
Wow, really cool. Well, hey, people want to learn more. Where do we send them to?
Yeah, you can go to redwoodlogistics.com, check it out. There's some ways to contact us there, learn more information, and we're happy to have those conversations and see if we can bring value.
Cool. Thank you very much. We'll say hi to Mary for you. Thanks for coming on today.
I will. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take it easy.